Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. As we continue on through the offseason, obviously this is a bit of a dead period in the NBA for Atlanta Hawks right now, unless you're very invested in national play. I wanted to bring on a good friend of the show, someone I brought on multiple times before, Chris Tipmore, A1 forever, is back on the show once again to talk about some Hawks with me, man. Hey, appreciate you coming on. How you doing today?
Oh man, every day is a great day, man. Happy to be back on Believe in Hawks with you, man. Talking our good old home team, Atlanta Hawks, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. It's always good. Obviously, a team that is feeling expectations, I think is a good word to describe it. And so we're going to dive into all that today. Obviously, some roster news, and then just how some guys, like I said, are doing in international play. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, definitely subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below about anything me and Chris talk about today. I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts on it as well. So, like I said, we're going to dive right into it. Chris, I want to start with this first. So, I've seen some of the social media. I've seen some people, some prominent basketball accounts, kind of
Right.
tweet out about the Atlanta Hawks. Tweet out about, somebody was like, "I'm excited to see the Atlanta Hawks." Some people think the Hawks should be a fourth, fifth seed this year. I think a lot of people, that actually, watch the game, kind of have I'm keeping an eye on the Hawks this year, and I think Hawks fans get a little nervous with that because first you're not used to being in that. It's more of a we'll see what they do instead of I think they'll do something really good this year. And then on top of just you're going from being not making the playoffs to, like I said, expected to make the postseason and potentially
Right.
even make a run. You obviously have storylines like Trey Young's contract that is going to loom over the team, depending on how the success of the season goes. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about just the fact that there is some buzz about the Atlanta Hawks with people in basketball circles? Do you like that? Do you kind of wish that people maybe kind of still viewed us as the underdog? How are you feeling with that with the Hawks right now?
Well, I think within the fan base, I think we still think that we're the underdog because we still have to go out there and prove it. We made moves. Shout out to Anzi Saleh doing his thing, cooking, but at the same time, we still have to see what if we can translate from the paper to the court.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as a Hawks fan, that's what you want to see. So, I believe within the fan base, yeah, we're a little underdog, but it's great that we're getting that national media attention because we have been making moves. And I believe when a team makes moves, it's kind of hard to, not look at it, not pay attention to it, not have, a discussion about it to some degree. And you look at it with the moves, it's it's high expectation, bro. Let's just keep it real. You're going from the Hawks Invitational, aka the NBA play-in tournament, to going to this team could be a 4 seed, 3 seed, 2 seed. You know what I'm saying? You've heard these things. So I mean, yeah, it could be some pressure. But you think about the moves that Anzi Saleh has made again. He's brought in championship caliber players. He's brought in guys who's been played in big games, had big moments, made big shots. So my point is the experience, and that's what you're bringing in. And then you also have Trey Young, who's coming in, who's developed more of that leadership role that people have been asking for years, but he's here with it now. He's being obligated to the team. He could have been other places. He's being with the team. Yeah, he's doing still off-season things, but the man has a life. So at the end of the day, it's what he does on the court, and it is what he does in the locker room with these young guys because we do have a youth movement. But I'm glad that we have veterans, guys that have rings, guys that's played in big games again, big series, made big shots. So ultimately, I'm happy that the Atlanta Hawks are getting the attention they deserve right now.
Yeah, and I think too. I think you made a good point about them bringing in guys who have that championship experience. Kristaps Porzingis has won a championship in Boston. That's obviously something that's very valuable to have in the locker room. Just a person who's been there, who has. I mean, we remember Kristaps Porzingis got back from, I think, injury and hooped in his first game in the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks. So he's been there and played well at the biggest stage. I mean, even to kill Alexander Walker, even though he hasn't been to the NBA Finals, but he's been to 2 consecutive Western Conference Finals. So he's made deep playoff runs very recently. And I think it's going to be important because especially that mixture with the young guys. You have guys like Jalen and Zach and Dyson, I guess, for the first time being a very big part of if the Hawks do make a deep playoff run. being thrusted in that position for the first time in their careers. Trey Young was a part of that East Conference Finals. Onyeka Okongwu as well. They're the only two players from that team still remaining. So, they understand, where, even though they were younger, they've gotten that experience. And so,
Right.
those three I just mentioned are going to be very important in trying to actually get them there with some of the veterans they've brought in, and then some of the guys they've worked and developed throughout, the last few years, and trying to figure out the right thing. And as I've mentioned too, for a lot of people who are kind of iffy on Quinn Snyder, this is the first year, like I've said, especially now with some of the roster moves that have been made, that there will be pressure on Quinn to win some games. So I think that, it'll be interesting to kind of see how that all comes about from that perspective. Now, I don't believe I've had you on since they've made all these moves with Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and them. So I just want to get your quick synopsis of all those moves and kind of, how you feel about the Hawks offseason, and do you feel like they did what they needed to do to really move this team in the right direction?
Well, absolutely. But again, of course, like I said before, it just has to translate. But let's talk about those moves for just a quick second. So the thing that I feel like that stands out the most is the Atlanta Hawks attack the perimeter on both sides, offense and defense. You got Nickeil Alexander Walker, who basically can play defense, guard one of the best players on the team, and it just so happens we already have a guy that does that. So you have two now, and then you also have Nickeil who can knock down big shots, make the three. The Hawks, they shot under 35% last year from the three as a team. Now you bringing in these guys like Porzingis, 41%, like a guy like Luke Kennard, who shot 45% over the last 3 years, and Nickeil Alexander Walker, who's not bad, shooting about 38, and I know the previous season 39% from three. So the Atlanta Hawks and Anzi Soleil still attacked the perimeter on both ends to be able to get better. And I enjoyed seeing that. That's one thing that I think like stood out the most, because those were our trouble spots. Not being able to stop guys, guys have just come in. I call them randos from the bando. I still can't believe, saying I'm a guy from Detroit. Remember that 50-point game? Like guys like that, man. Come on now. We got to stop stuff like that. We got to stop being predictable as far as guys being able to come in and say, hey, we can shoot threes on the Atlanta Hawks. And I believe that they attacked that.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, a lot of people would say the Hawks won the offseason. I think that is a very common theme for a lot of people. And it really kind of put them back on a more healthier timeline, which we already kind of saw the fruits of that labor last year with some of the ways they were building this team out, and then just continuing that and adding on to that already with Ansi trying to make moves and just believing in what you hear about him now. We went from Hawks DNA to optionality, where you always want to have the ability to adjust if needed. That is one thing you can clearly see he values right now on the Atlanta Hawks, is just having options, which brings me into the fact that a guy who we've signed, who is right now the 15th man on the roster, but not with a fully guaranteed deal, Caleb Houston, he was signed from the Orlando Magic, had a really strong second half of the year, shot like 50% from three, the second half of the year after All-Star break. So there's some progress that he showed, but for the longest time, we never really heard the official signing until just about a day ago. And then we find out today it was a Exhibit 10 contract. So that's a non-guaranteed deal. So that leaves the door open for the Hawks to potentially get a 15. Like if they want to let him go and get another guy, they can do that, which is interesting that they've left that spot kind of up in limbo, even though right now they essentially do have a person there. Are you someone who do you like that? Do you like the fact they're leaving that door open? Like, hey, we'll let you in camp, you'll play in preseason, but we could always move on if we want to.
Hey man, one thing about it, I like that song by Bruno and them saying "Leave the door open," because you can have that spot, man. So seriously, all jokes aside, though, you can have that spot and keep that optionality, just like Anzi is preaching. I know he even said it so many times in the interview to the point where he was like, "I know you guys are getting tired of me saying that," but that's really what he's preaching, and that's keeping that option open, because you never know what can happen. We see it, unfortunately, the Falcons right now, they're dealing with injuries. An injury can happen at any given time, and you still need to have that wiggle room, that flexibility. Something you really see in past GM experiences. Currently, you're seeing that with Anzi Soleil.
Yeah, I think you don't also see teams kind of going into a camp saying, yeah, that there's a spot especially a team roster spot. Like, you may see a two-way, sure, but like a main roster, like on the NBA team spot open. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see how that develops. I know backup three is kind of some Hawks fans are nervous about it because in terms of a size perspective, once you get past Zach, you don't really have the biggest guys. I mean, your biggest guy probably after that, what is a Vic Krejci, maybe a Jacob Toppin, depending on where you see them. You know, like I guess, you know, when you add Houston into that too, I mean, there's some guys, and maybe this is camp preseason, a chance to let them see, okay, what do we have there and see if we like it. You know, like how do you feel about that backup three spot? Are you still kind of shaky on that after Zach?
I mean, after Zach, I feel like you could add another body if you want to, but the thing about that I like about the Atlanta Hawks is you do have some versatility. Depending on the lineup, you can mix and match a few other guys, and you can see guys like Nikhil going in that position, maybe Dyson going in that position, Nikhil dropping down to the shooting guard. The flexibility and the optionality that is going on with the Atlanta Hawks right now, I think just it's great, man. Great versatility. You have a great problem. You have guys who can switch multiple positions as well. You think about that. So again, man, Ozzy Saleh, he was just looking at the roster and he was like, okay, we need this piece, and that piece. And again, shout out to Trey Young because he picked up the phone and called a couple of these guys and say, hey, look, we need you here in our program with our young guys. We're building something here. I believe if we add you, you know, we can take it to another level. So I'm loving everything that's going on right now. I really don't have any major complaints. You look at the moves that's being made, man. Some people are already dubbing Anzi Saleh as one of the best GMs we've had. You know what I'm saying? Like you're already hearing that off of just a few moves. We haven't even played a game yet. But that's because Atlanta Hawks fans are not used to guys making moves and you can see it. You know, so I mean, again, you just got to credit to the front office. And I mean, whether you like it or not, give credit to Tony Resler for stepping out the way and allowing Ozzy to do his thing. That trust. So that's a big statement right there in itself too.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, everybody when they fired Landry, kind of it was very split. Either you didn't like Landry Fields, or you were like, you know, I felt like, especially after last year, okay, he put some pieces in place to get us out of the hole we were in after the DeJounte trade, and to kind of get us back on a certain point where we're like, all right, we can see a forward direction, and then to still move on and say we're going to go in a different direction, especially with a guy who isn't known to have a ton of experience. You know, first time in this role. You know, some people like Landry's first time in the role when he took over, and so people obviously were concerned and nervous about that. And to see that, you know, I think so far on paper he's done a really good job with how he's done it, because you definitely see he's moving differently than how Landry Fields moved. I think it just kind of shows you where the Hawks are and the trust that they have in him and Onsi, and some of the feedback they've gotten from him. He's very well touted around the league for the work he's done growing up through the system. So I think that's something that you always try to bank your head on too. You know, I think it's easy for us when we aren't a part of people's journeys to say, who's this guy? Why are we trusting him? But you got high level execs maybe saying this guy can run a team. And so if you're a person in power and you have connections and you hear that, it's going to make you feel like, oh man, like, you know, maybe we should give this guy a chance. Maybe we should, you know, let him run the ship and see what he can do, even in our situation right now, because you don't want to hire someone just to hire someone, because they did a very extenuous process of interviewing different candidates, but they didn't just want to hire anybody. And I feel like everybody we heard outside of like the home run hires, everybody was kind of like, ugh. So it was like,
no, they were.
It was like, yeah, if that's the case, you might just stick to who you know. So I don't blame them for that at all. And you know, one thing for Onsi, one of the big things that is going to define his tenure here is going to be over this next year. Yeah. Some people have said the Hawks are still in a bit of a evaluation process, just because Kristaps is still in a 1-year deal. You know, Trey Young has an option next year. And, you know, he's going to be maybe that first big domino that he has to decide on. It doesn't seem like the Hawks are going to offer an extension this offseason. We've heard some conflicting reports. Some say the Hawks have not talked to Trey. Some have said they did, but they're just not going to come to an agreement on a deal. And Trey's camp is looking at, we play through this year. You have an option ability to potentially get first team All NBA or second or third, which can give you a max qualification for your contract extension. You also have an option, so you could opt in and still be with the Hawks for 1 year, or you could give yourself a chance to enter free agency next year and see how the market plays out for you. But at the same time, if it goes well, it feels like it'd be hard to say Trey would leave. And I would also assume if the Hawks play very well, Trey Young has a great year, the Hawks understand waiting a year, they're going to have to maybe pay more for Trey Young than they would have to pay this year. So what do you think about that and just that situation with Trey Young and his contract?
Oh man, I mean, for me, I like to pay a guy early, but at the same time, again, I'm not in those positions. I'm not in that office. I don't know what the conversations exactly are right now with Trey. I mean, I'm pretty sure intelligent guy like Anzi realizes the value of Trey Young, realizes the value of Trey Young in Atlanta. But at the same time, like you said, Trey has different options, and really Trey could bet on himself in this season to make one of those NBA teams. Especially, can you imagine if Trey was somehow able to make first team? That price tag was going to be something significant, and that's another thing too. Just like he can get a bigger deal. I remember Jeff Fisher. He was saying something about 5 years, 315. So that could be an option. It could be more depending on what's going on. It all depends on what kind of season the Atlanta Hawks have. The Atlanta Hawks make a deep playoff run. Trey Young is a big difference maker in that, and pretty much leading this team. Yeah, that price tag gonna be up there. But again, I'm all about paying a guy early if you can. But right now, I believe the Hawks are kind of like I don't want to say daring Trey, but it's just like they're giving him the opportunity to possibly earn way more than De'Aaron Fox and more than even Luka Doncic. Two guys that got traded, by the way, and Trey is still with the same team. So that's giving him another option for like what that super.
Yeah, that's true. And obviously having those bird rights and everything is very effective. And obviously I think too, like I said with Trey, they're just saying, hey, can you do it one more year for us? Can you lead us to some more success? Can you get us to the postseason? And if you do that, I would assume they, like I said, they would pay the man, just because I don't think you would do this to say, okay, well, we're gonna break it up in a year anyway, right? But like I said, Trey Young also has power because he has an option. So I mean, he could opt in, and now it's like, okay, well, you either got to extend me or trade me.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. And we really won't have more answers to it until the year goes on. So, obviously, we know he's leading the charge, and he'll be a very big part of, how they move forward. But I think another thing is, obviously, we talk about the other guys, like a Dyson, like a Zach, like a Jalen, Kristoff, a Kongu. The other guys are very important. And I think a lot of guys, we've seen videos throughout the offseason, guys working on their games. Some guys right now playing in international play, which I wanted to touch on. Kristoff Porzingis, Zachary Richey, and Vic Krejci are all playing international play right now. First, I don't know how much you've seen, but I I just want to get your thoughts on what you've seen from the guys who played international play. And, how, do you ever get nervous when guys play international play? Like, I hope something doesn't happen. We're not that far off from training camp.
My thing is with injuries, how I feel, if it's destined to happen, it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do, and that's another reason why sometimes, it's controversial about whether you're going to play a guy, whether you want a guy to play extra and all this stuff like that. But injuries can happen whenever, man. A guy can step out the shower and boop, there goes his ACL. So it's just like, let's just keep it real. I mean, there's no point in like being nervous about it. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Really, what I be gaining off of it is hopefully these guys can use that momentum to carry over into the regular season. I know that's definitely what we was expecting from Bogey last year, but I know injuries kind of riddled him, and that really like derailed his season, honestly, with the Hawks, because those injuries, he kept like kind of having them, and I don't think he was ever really fully healthy like after he had got hurt that first time. So, that was unfortunate. But you see guys like Kristoff and, like you said, like Beat and Zach. I mean, Veet, my main thing about him, I just want him to continue to get confident. Yeah, he's like the ultimate team player. He'll dish, he'll pass, he'll do whatever you ask. But for his offensive game, I would just like to see a more aggressive Vit Krejci on some occasions. Still keep that team aspect, but he has the ability, and he did get more confident toward the end of the last season. So hopefully that can carry over into Euroball and into this season. Now, as for Zach, most thing I've really noticed about him is he is like more defined. He's gotten a tad bit bigger, and I think he's ready for year two to come in, because you look at year one, especially the second half of that season, and it seemed like he got more comfortable. So I want him to continue to gain confidence and get more comfortable, and I want him to come in a little bit more disrespectful in his second year to the NBA. Seriously. And as for Kristaps, man, come on now. 26 minutes, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Man, what is going on? That's just a sample of what is to come for Atlanta Hawks fans. Like, as long as this guy can stay healthy and, get acclimated to the offense and with Trey, but that's not going to take long anyway. But still, that's just a sample size. That was only in 26 minutes. Some people need a whole entire game to get that. So just take it with a grain of salt, man. Just take it with a grain of salt. Enjoy it. Hope that they stay healthy, and hope that it translates over into the regular season.
Yeah, that's all you can really hope for. It's funny. I think Krejci today played. He had 18 points in like 21 minutes, 22 minutes.
See,
Because here's the thing about foreign play, or an international play. I always say, players and international players sometimes use differently how they are in the league. So that's why you'll see Patty Mills drop 30 a game for Australia, but then he'll barely give you like 8 points a game in the NBA, because it's just a different
game,
different talent, different role, just different stuff.
Right.
And some people will see that from Krejci and think, well, why can't he do this for us on a more often basis? And it's like, I don't know. Probably on his country's team, he's maybe the third best player. We're on the Hawks, he's the 8th, 9th best player. So like it's not the same.
Level. It's levels.
And even Zach, we've talked about it. More defined, looks stronger.
Right.
He looks very athletic. He's been really good defensively, which I think is, again, his bread and butter as the offensive game when the shooting comes around. And so I think for him, just showing the things we watch international play and we want to take a lot away from it. Oh, I want to see this. I want to see this to make me feel good about what I'm getting in the season. But like I said, when you're playing particular roles, you only will see so much, but you also can see the little things that can make you excited for it. And obviously, Kristaps Porzingis, we already know what he can do. Right. He's a unicorn. He's 7 foot. He can shoot 28, 30-footer, just bang, straight away. And that makes him a very dangerous
footer. The other day, it was so effortless, bro.
Just dangerous guy. And that's why I think a lot of people are excited for him and Trey, because, Trey can basically get it to any point on the floor. And I know, a lot of people are kind of debating with him who's going to start at center, him or Yucca Okongwu, right? Because I think the main thing with Kristaps Porzingis is people just look at injuries. If you think he may not be able to stay healthy, do you take DeAndre Hunter route with him, let him come off the bench, and then maybe he'll finish games? Or if it's not, the people may feel like Okongwu played well and show that he could be a starter. People are trying to figure out how the Hawks are going to handle that situation. I just want to get your thoughts on the center position and what you think the Hawks are going to do. And really, does it matter who starts in these games?
I think, to be honest, I'm still seeing Onyeka Okongwu being the starter, but I do believe that depending on the matchup, the team that you're playing, you can see some starting from Porzingis. I do. I think that the Atlanta Hawks ultimately, it's only for 1 year, but I think they want to try to maximize on this year as much as they possibly can. I don't know what direction the Atlanta Hawks may go. I don't know if on the second half of the season, if Porzingis will even still be a Hawk. But I know they want to maximize on it and keep him healthy. And one way of doing that, you go ahead and you make sure you get center depth, because depth is going to be everything. So you got Okongwu. You now have Dante. You also have, Mo G, who, depending on the lineup and what's going on there, can play some center for you too. Another guy who the Hawks were better defensively when he was on the floor. So don't forget about Mo G as well. So there's options, but there's also ways. And then, of course, we still got that 15 spot open. You never know. It could be another big. That's the whole point, though. You never know what else could be added. So you just got to keep the door open again, and again, just got to keep the optionality open. Be optimistic. We have some things going on. We had 42 games last year for Porzingis, but I know he had that illness too. It wasn't just all
Mm.
injuries. He had that illness that just took him down, and he just couldn't recover from it. Came back during the playoffs. I think played a game and went right back out. So he said he's all free and clear of that. Says he's healthy. Never felt better. At the end of the day, I'm gonna believe him until his game shows otherwise.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it's all you can do. I mean, you got to trust that he's ready to go and ready to lock in. Obviously, like I said, the return of Jalen Johnson as well this year
Hmm.
from is just huge for what they're going to do and the really expectations they have this year for the season. Obviously, their schedule came out a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Obviously, we always know who they're playing. It's just stretches and everything. And I think Hawks have tied for the fewest back-to-backs in the league. But they have about 9, I could be wrong, 8 to 9 primetime games. I don't know. People are trying to figure out, what do you consider Peacock? Do you consider that NBA TV, or do you consider that an actual
I don't even know.
primetime national game?
No,
And
no.
I think people just feel like the schedule is more favorable for the Hawks this year, just from the way it's designed, how it's kind of put together.
Right.
And I want to ask this because I've said this, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
I've said, if I'm the NBA, Eastern Conference, what is the best matchup / storyline you can get in East Conference Finals, if you care about that and it is rigged and everything like that?
Hawks versus Pistons.
You say who?
Hawks versus Pistons.
You think Hawks versus Pistons?
I think
Why you say that?
I think that because, first of all, the Motor City madness that it would create from the Detroit Piston fans. They're diehard. They have a young team, young scrapping team, and Cade Cunningham is one of the future guys of the NBA. Not even going to lie to you, they had a great run last year. Came up a little short, but at the same time, they are a young team that I feel like is going to be right back at it. I think Bickerstaff is doing a great job over there. And they added to it where they got Karis LeVert over there now too, so another scorer off the bench. Cade's coming back. I mean, going to be probably even stronger than before. They have a nice young team. I don't know what's going on with Malik Beasley. They haven't really touched on it or looked into it anymore. But still, I think they have a good young team. And of course, the Atlanta Hawks. We of course are the story anyway, because we're one of the teams that won the offseason. We're going back and forth with Houston. But still, I feel like that would be a great matchup. And it'd be new. It'd be fresh. Not no same old, same old. It would be wonderful to see. And I wouldn't and hey, it would be like, let the best team win. Let the best young team win.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Detroit. All right. I mean, yeah, that'd probably be a hype series for sure. I think both cities would be rocking. So I'd say that could be definitely one. Now, the matchup I was thinking, and maybe it's obvious, but the matchup I was thinking Hawks and Knicks.
Of course, yes, sir.
But
yes, sir.
Obviously we know about the Trey Young, the New York thing, but also you got to think about the other storylines.
Yeah.
Can the Knicks finally break through? Can they finally, after all the decades, can they finally break through once again? The city of New York, just craving another championship and to be relevant again.
Right.
How long is this core going to stay together for the Knicks, especially in today's NBA? How many chances do they have left with this core? You just got a new Mike Brown. He's made it to the Finals 4 with LeBron, and outside of that, he hasn't really done much as a coach. He's had some winning seasons, but he's never, gotten over the hump. And then on the Hawks, it's kind of the same thing. Quinn Snyder.
I was just about to say, you got the same with us, brother.
Is he gonna break through? Is he gonna make it to the finals? The Hawks, if they do that, against the Knicks, what does that mean for their trajectory? Because it looks like they're on the upward trend, like Oklahoma City. Also the Trey Young narrative. Small guards can't win championships. Small guards can't take their team somewhere. Trey Young gets the chance to kill that narrative and make history. And obviously bringing the Hawks to a championship for the first time since moving in Atlanta in franchise history. So I just think there's, and obviously the ESPN is just going to focus on the Knicks and Trey Young part, because that's what's going to get people there. But then if you really lay it out, it's like, dude, there's so many storylines. Somebody's going to be crushed, and someone's going to feel like their franchise is now just elevated. You
Absolutely,
know?
absolutely, brother. And my thing is like, just like what you saying about storylines. I mean, again, you both of those matchups I feel like would be awesome. Hawks versus Knicks, you already know, like you said, the Trey Young thing. But again, you dive in deeper. You have Porzingis going back against the New York Knicks, a team that drafted him. You know what I'm saying? You have that, man, it's to be so many storylines. Yes, you do have like who's the better defender, Dyson Daniels or Mikal Bridges. You know what I'm saying? You got, man, it'll be so many different things going on. But I think you can have similar, like I said, with those Pistons and those Hawks, man. So, I mean, both two young teams, both have made moves. Who made the better moves? You know what I'm saying? Like who made the better moves? Who has the clutch factor? Who's going to be able to break through? You know, and again, like you said,
Yeah.
Snyder, can he get to into the NBA Finals? Can Trey Young get there? Can he stay healthy and not go down in the Eastern Conference Finals again or anything? Just it's so many different ways that people are going to go with it that you can really just hang your hat and be like, hey man, you have a good Eastern Conference Finals regardless, as long as you include the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just the way the East looks this year. It feels like the Hawks being involved in the Eastern Conference Finals could be the best thing for the league with everything that's coming around it. So, and who doesn't love a good young team coming up through the ashes, everything under the sun? I think a lot of people do pay attention to the Hawks. It's just hard to know, are this a team you can take seriously? And I think if you do it, you move forward, and I think you'll see all these fans come out.
I got a question for you.
What's up?
You can compare, like, as far as like viewership, like let's say like people are just off just doing whatever. The NBA Finals is going on. The Hawks are in it, and the Hawks actually win it. Could you compare that to anything? If you compare it to anything in sports history, what could you compare that to?
I think it's sports history. Um, like, are you talking maybe like is it supposed to be like a shocking thing or just like a or
Like,
just
like
like
yeah, like people can't
unexpected?
believe it. It could be like a people can't believe it because I don't think people would be able to be like, what, the Atlanta Hawks?
I mean, it really depends. I mean, it depends on they play. Like, let's say they play Oklahoma City. Technically, they're the best team in the league, so they beat Oklahoma City in the finals. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying this because of the type of teams they were, because that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it in terms of what people thought. Maybe you're looking at maybe the Detroit LA finals when Detroit beat LA.
Yeah,
Remember, LA was like the hot team. Oh, they're gonna win.
yeah,
Detroit can't. You know what I'm saying? It has
yeah.
to be like somewhere you're like, there's no
That
way
was,
they're gonna win this game. You know, and
that was
so
pretty kind of shocking, for a lot of people. I know LA was pretty favorable, but they had so many Hall of Famers. What wasn't Peyton and Malone over there at that time
yep,
too?
Peyton Malone were playing with Shaq and Kobe. And,
Shaq, Kobe, and they're just, man, everybody was over there. So he was just, when Detroit came in and played old school basketball and took them down. I think a lot of people was like surprised, but I don't think people in Detroit were surprised though. But still, you have that, man. For me, if I had to compare that, I think it would be. I'm gonna use a wrestling reference. You remember when um no, he was Mankind at the time. You remember when Mankind won the title for the first time?
mm-hmm.
It was so crazy that even WCW and Tony Schiavone said something about it. That backfired, by the way, and everybody just flipped the flipped the WWF just to watch Mankind holding up
Mm-hmm.
that title for the first time after so many people are rooting for him, after so many people just thinking this man's not going to ever win one, and then for him to win it and just to have like that viewership. I forgot the numbers. They talked about the numbers on how like it went from one number and just shot up. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as viewership goes, but I feel like it would be something like that. Seeing the Hawks do that and hosting the trophy and everything like that, I feel like the ratings and everything would shoot up because people would be like, for real? And then it's just like, well, what can you say now, man? Trey Young is a champion. Woo woo. A lot of people, Quinn
Yeah.
Snyder got over the hump. It just, man, so much. So yeah.
I mean, shoot, you could shoot. I mean, you could even if you want to do it in terms of like storyline. If we talk about stories, I mean, if you want to do the recent one with Cody Rhodes, and
Yeah.
Roman Reigns. If you talk about finishing the story,
Finish your story.
Hawks playoff T-shirts finished the story. We already gave him a new marketing idea for the playoffs.
Just saying, Code is from Georgia, so I'm just saying.
There's a lot of connections there.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. We just throwing ideas against the wall. That's all we doing.
Yeah, you don't have to take down the MVP. Do let us know. Would mind some credit. So, for sure. I think that'd be great for the city. Obviously, I'll try to be out there to parade. You know what I'm saying? Get crazy with y'all. I ain't gonna be jumping off water potties, but we'll be having a great time. We'll be having a great time. We'll be having a great time for sure.
Normal celebration.
Yes, exactly, man. But yeah, so we'll have to see what happens, man. Like I said, I think there's a lot of excitement going into the season. I think a lot of people are wondering how everything's going to turn out. And like I said, we are a month and a week away, if not just a month away from training camp. Right. And then I think they moved preseason like the second week in October. So we're very close to just seeing basketball again, the team getting back together again. So we're going to have a really exciting time, I think, for Hawks fans for sure. But I think that's about it for us, Chris. Let people know where they can find you. Hey, Chris, let people know where they can find you.
Hey, man. Well, you can find me at A1 Forever Sports. That's the platform on YouTube. Please come over, like, comment, and subscribe. Have a football, baseball, basketball conversation. It doesn't even matter, man. You never know what's going to happen at A1 Forever Sports. Also, catch me at the Hawks Digest as well, talking Atlanta Hawks, just like how Bryce talks over here and Believe in Hawks. So, man, if you want to be a member over there, hey, man, we would love to have you as well. The Hawks Digest family, me and Walter Pollard over there doing that. And, of course, Twitter, A1 Forever, Instagram, A1 Forever, the real A1 Forever on TikTok. And, man, hey, thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you for sure coming on to the show once again, man. Always good talking hoops with you for sure. Obviously, guys, if you want to keep up with me in the social, I think Chris froze. I don't know if we got him back.
I tell you, boy.
You good.
It's also storming too right now too here in Georgia too.
Gotcha. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, like I said, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, like the video. If you're listening through audio, please leave the podcast 5 stars. It allows people to kind of have a higher outreach to people who want to listen to Hawks content as well. And obviously follow me on Twitter at Pricey_2K to keep up with everything. If you want to come interact with me over on that as well. So, like I said, guys, getting closer to basketball. We just another few weeks away, another month away. We'll be able to digest some fresh hoops, man. But I think that's about it for me. That's Chris. I'm Bryce. See you next time.